Hello, church family. I hope this finds you doing well and clinging to the Lord. The purpose of this video is to give you an update on some of our reopening plans as a church. As many of you have heard, we've been issued a variance in Larimer County that supersedes the state of Colorado's Safer at Home order that allows us to start gathering together in person to worship the Lord. And so, man, we are just really excited for the opportunity to gather together corporately to worship Him. And so as we do so, though, we also want to make sure that we're doing it in a wise way. We just really want to care for people and make sure that anybody who chooses to gather with us is safe. We're taking precautions as needed to be able to minimize the risk of anybody catching corona, as well as consider just the greater community in which we live in. Are we doing everything we can to put our neighbors above ourselves and really to be good neighbors in the city by which we live? And so before I get to some of the details of what we are doing, I want to just give a couple of quick comments. One would just be to you all as a church family. I just want to thank you for the way that you have been the church, your resilience, your flexibility, and it's been so encouraging to watch you continue to be a church even in the midst of a global pandemic. And so thank you for the ways you fought to really stay connected together. Thank you for the ways that you've continued to make Christ known in this community, reaching out to friends and families and neighbors. I heard so many encouraging stories, as well as just being able to keep prioritizing meeting together, even when it's virtually, having chances week after week to be able to worship the Lord through song and be led by others, to have a chance to get into His Word and continue to study His Word together, to have our hearts spurred on and challenged. It's just been a blessing. And so thank you, church family, for your resilience. And I do want to give just a quick shout out to our staff at Mountain View. I know this has been like a season which everything has been new, and the staff has worked so hard at really serving us as a church community by being innovative, by everything's been new and trying to put things together. And they've just done an amazing job and worked many, many hours. And so staff, on behalf of the rest of the church family, I just want to thank the Lord for you and thank you for the ways that you've been serving us as a church. Now, as we think about moving forward with in-person gatherings, there's a couple things I just want us all to recognize before we get into the details. And we know this, that for the foreseeable future, that there's going to be many in our church family who are not going to be comfortable with gathering in person with other people for multiple different reasons. And if that's you, we want you to know that that's okay and we understand. And we want to continue to serve you because you are a very important part of our church family. And we want to do so as long as we need to. So with that understanding, as we slowly begin to talk about meeting together in person, we know that we're going to continue to need to offer virtual services as well as means for you to virtually gather with others for community for a long time. So our plan is to continue with online services for many months, as well as offer virtual life groups for those in our body who are not comfortable with meeting in person, so that you can just stay connected, so that you can stay encouraged, and you can continue to stay challenged in the Lord and His Word. So please hear that. Also, I think as we talk about corporately gathering together again, we just need to be really careful with our expectations. I think it's going to be really important that as we start thinking about gathering together in person is to recognize it's not going to look the way that it did before Corona hit. Now, we have every intention to follow the recommendations given to us for the houses of worship and how we're outlined by the state in all the ways that we can actually meet and gather together safely. And so there's going to be things that's just going to feel different and it's going to look different. And so we know that due to the guidelines given, that we're going to have a limited capacity in the number of people that will be able to gather together, which is going to require flexibility and the heart for you to serve one another during this next season. If you take our 3 very full services and reduce that number significantly so that we can socially distance, we are not going to be able to every weekend provide a service for everyone. So we need to keep those things in mind and we need to stay flexible. This is why I think it's really important that with the reduced capacity for our in-person Sunday gatherings, that we're going to need to continue to lean really heavily upon our life groups as a place for people to connect and meet together. You know, one of the reasons I believe that we've been so healthy during this last few months is because so many in our church body have really stayed connected in with life groups. In fact, our life groups have grown, and a lot of our life groups have talked about how they've grown and connected deeper together in times that you think it would be the opposite. And so our life groups are going to be really central to our reopening plans. And so again, I'm just going to encourage you, if you are not part of a life group, please, would you consider connecting with a life group for this next season, because it's going to be really important. And so if you're not connected with a life group, really simple, just go to our main webpage, hit the Get Connected button, and then fill out the form. And somebody will contact you right away, and we'll help you get connected to a life group that will really mesh well with you, and it's just going to be really important. So please take the time to get connected to a life group. For those of you who are already part of a life group, over the course of this next week, you're going to be contacted by your life group leader, where you're going to begin to discuss how to resume in-person life groups where possible. We know that one size is not going to fit all life groups, and that each group's needs are going to be different depending on your demographic and those who are part of your group. And so as a life group, you're going to have the flexibility just to kind of come up with what's the best way to serve your group. Is it in-person meetings? Is it continue to do virtual meetings? Is it a combination of both? Is it gathering together on Sundays because we're not going to have the ability to serve everybody for like watch parties as a life group? We want you to use your creative solutions and come up with creative solutions and best to be able to meet during this time to stay connected together. So be looking for a communication from your life group in the very near future. Now, our plan for in-person corporate gatherings is this. Once we receive the guidelines from our state and local officials for houses of worship, we're going to then be able to move forward with finalized plans. And so we have a lot of work that we've done and kind of thinking through different contingency plans, but we're really kind of waiting for those final plans to come out to iron out everything and all the details about us meeting together. But here's what we know, and here's what our plan is up to this point. On June 7th, we're going to have our first in-person gathering in our church building. Now, keep your expectations low. This is going to be something we call a soft launch, where we're only going to have one service that day, and it's going to be for a limited number of people. And so actually we are looking for 50 very gracious individuals who have a pretty high tolerance, meaning they're very comfortable to begin gathering, meeting with others during this time. And our hope is that those 50 people just kind of help us work out the kinks and how are we going to implement some of these guidelines and do it in a way that really serves us as a body. So if you're interested in serving us on the 7th, being part of that first group that gathers on the 7th, simply email mvc@mvcchurch.org and we'll send you some more of the details. Now, the week after that, Sunday, June 14th, is kind of our first open services to our church family. And then we're going to have two different services on that day. We're going to have a 9 o'clock service and an 11 o'clock service with no children's ministry or no nursery. Now, after meeting for a few weeks, we'll evaluate the need and the ability to add additional services to serve more and more of our body on Sunday morning throughout the course of the summer. So the details will be coming out in the next 10 days, where you're going to receive kind of what you can expect if you show up on a Sunday morning. You're going to be told what we're going to expect of you if you come on a Sunday morning, as well as like how can you sign up to come, which is going to be important. So those details should be coming in the next 10 days. That is it for now. These are crazy times. They are unique times, but they're times that God is still on his throne, church family. And the church is still a church, and his design cannot be thwarted. And so we, again, are just so grateful for you, your flexibility and your patience as we walk this challenging road together. But I trust God's at work. He's at work in us. He's making us more like himself, and he's at work through us. He is making his name known to others around us. And so, church family, we love you, and we're really looking forward to seeing your face in person, hopefully soon.